here to kind of answer questions and dive deeper to how to actually land well-paid jobs in the tech industry. So my name is Michael, and I'll kind of walk you through the different steps of the process. Feel free to kind of ask questions, but you can also write in the chat what kind of a career change you are looking for, what do you plan going forward, and that will also help us to kind of steer the wheel in a direction that would be most useful for you. Okay, so you can just answer the question, kind of, what do you plan in the next 1 or 2 years? In the next 1 to 2 years. And the second question would be, what part of the IT world do you focus on? What's your current role, and where would you like to develop yourself? Okay, so with colleagues, we created this ebook after we were discussing this topic with the industry experts, with Fanela, for example. She's a C-suite coach. She coached more than 2,000 hours in the last 5 years. Eric, he is the chief of staff at the Google Search Ads. He's also an executive coach in the United States. Julia, she's a LinkedIn top voice in the careers space. She's also a career coach and career strategist. So these people know a lot about how to get more and better opportunities. And that's why we kind of put together this ebook with also their insights. And that's hopefully why you are also here, Yusuf. So feel free to kind of answer the questions, and I mean, those are in the chat, and feel free to ask if you have any further questions. So if you...
Thank you. Yep, no worries.
Awesome. So if you're kind of worried, like what to do next, what's going on in the world, the good news is that the bigger companies are still looking for C-levels. They are onboarding new people. You can see some of these new joiners in those big companies like AWS, MongoDB, Checkout, PayPal. They are onboarding high-level IT executives. And when we were diving deeper to actually what makes it really valuable, like why do companies pay 400, 500,000 or even more per year for these professionals, we kind of realized, I mean, after obviously a deeper research, and some of the career coaches have thousands of hours a coach, so they kind of notice the patterns. And the bigger rocks are innovation leadership and executive mindset. So these are very important aspects of the executive roles. Obviously, we can dive deeper to how to develop these, but also the smaller rocks are very important because they open up those opportunities, like network, tech expertise, personal branding, industry experience, etc. So the question is really how to become extremely valuable to a smaller group of companies. Those companies would eventually pay premium for those skills, for expertise, or the market brand or market recognition. So as an example, someone who has, let's say, 3 years of experience in fintech and experience with B2B software as a service companies, led a department of 40 software engineers or product engineers, would be a lot more valuable in another fintech company, right, that focuses on B2B software as a service. So the question really is how to be positioned on the market to be clearly visible on the market as the kind of specialized tech leader who has deeper expertise with certain segment or with certain technology, and of course the executive mindset, which is very important. So that's what we also usually do with some of our clients when we need to reposition them on the market so that they resonate better with those target companies. Eventually, these are the reasons really why companies pay premium salaries, innovation leadership, market credibility. Sometimes, for example, the company before IPO needs to attract investors, and they acquire someone to join the team just to increase the market value. Or, for example, for A-player software engineers, it's important to work with a really experienced senior CTO. So that could be another reason why the company would pay premium. Specific industry experience, we've seen it also with some of our clients when they would prefer someone who had been working in fintech, for example, or someone who has experience with emerging markets. And executive mindset is becoming more and more important. So that eventually helps to shift from the 100 to 200,000 a year salary to 300, 400 and more thousand per year. So, the executive mindset, Eric Nerlich, when we were discussing this, he had a very interesting observation because he worked in Google search ads as the chief of staff. So like hundreds and hundreds of people in that department or division. And he noticed while he was climbing the ladder that it's more important in those higher levels to manage the relationships with stakeholders in other departments, because in the technical department anyway, there would be directors and VP of engineering. So the eventually the executive mindset means aligning with the CEO, with the board, speaking their language, so to actually acquire the business acumen, align with the technology projects with priorities. And Eric actually was very clear about what does the business acumen mean in terms of using the vocabulary that business people understand, which is usually a big shift from someone who was a CTO focused on the hard skills and suddenly needs to talk about profitability and margins and whatnot. So the business acumen, super important. One of the other takeaways we had while we were kind of reviewing our clients in the past was that people, in other words, the companies they worked for 10 years ago heavily influenced their job today. So we've seen that the exposure they gained 5, 7, 10 years ago in certain companies made a significant impact on what kind of a job they were able to apply for. Also, once we look at some of these CTOs, I don't recall from top of my mind, but they were working in some of the well-recognized brands. Someone from Apple, for example, I don't recall one of these people also worked at Apple, for example, as a director of engineering. So, that immediately gives some credibility and opens up new doors. So also when we work with our clients, we usually look at, okay, this is an interesting opportunity, but how will this impact your job in 5, 7, 10 years from now? Is this company strong enough? Is this company well recognized? Does it have good branding? Because that will impact the career in 5, 7, 10 years from now. Then the skills and executive mindset impact the rather midterm range. So usually when we look at what skills are required on the market with regards to CTOs, it shifts from the hard skills that CTOs usually develop while they are leading technical teams as directors of engineering, VP of engineering. Suddenly they need to shift their skill set from the technical leadership to kind of soft skills and HR management and just being more on the soft side. And on the really short term, the network plays a big role. For example, when we were talking with Fanela about how her clients gets a new job, she was quite clear about how the network that those executives build in the short term helps them open some of those doors. The one of the most common examples are that she has seen, for example, was building a network with other CTOs because when a CTO leaves a company, usually they also want to recommend someone else to replace them. And you would like to obviously be considered for that role. So that's why it's good to build a network with other CTOs first, then with executive headhunters, and eventually with other board members. We were also reviewing some of the recent C-level career changes, and obviously noticed some patterns. So we can go through them. We don't have to kind of spend too much time looking at this, but maybe something would be relevant. For example, with Jeremy Ung, he was, for example, working at AWS. So that was one of the examples of how the kind of good brand, well-known company influences the next job in 5, 7, 10 years from now. So you see, he was working as a senior manager, software development at AWS, and few years later, he's working as a CTO in another company. With his 20 years of experience within that area, it would be a 500K kind of a job. So we have several examples. We don't have to go through them in details, but if you'd like, you can obviously download this ebook and analyze everything thoroughly. So one thing that was quite common also when we were talking to other career coaches, especially was it Fanua? Or probably Julia. Oh yeah, Julia was saying that regarding the hidden job market, there are often some contradictory opinions about the hidden job market, because in the past, the reason for the hidden job market was that companies did not have resources to post all the jobs on job boards. But then the internet came, and suddenly it was easy to post kind of anything on the internet for free and distribute across different job boards. But what happens specifically with C-level jobs is that those are not promoted on job boards, usually because they start the search while they already have someone in that specific role. So this is the only exception these days with jobs that are still not being published on job boards, and usually they are filled through a network, through headhunters who work exclusively and often have some confidentiality, so they don't even reveal the name of the company. And of course, through some internal referrals when the CTO who is leaving recommends another CTO. So just a very small segment of those jobs is posted. And we also saw it with our clients who often don't have this VP of engineering or a CTO job on their website. They just hire us as the agency to find someone. And so as an example, if there are 200 CTO roles in the US, then there are probably 800 other jobs that are not published at all. So overall, the market is huge. The question obviously is how to tap on the job market, how to position yourself as the expert, and be seen as the thought leader, which would eventually increase your value. So the way we usually do it is we connect with headhunters. We work on LinkedIn content because that increases credibility. That helps you position as the thought leader. And of course, we work on events and networking. So these two go hand in hand. Promotion events and personal network is very important, especially for the C-level jobs. So that's what we usually do for our clients, because over the years, we've built a network of executive search agencies, headhunters. Just in my personal network, there are 30,000 people who I'm connected with. We also run the Tech Recruitment Academy, so that also helped to build a network over the last 5 years. And these partners are also looking for C-levels at some point. Sooner or later, they will have a job for a CTO, and it's just a matter of time when they need someone to kind of connect with. So we help to facilitate relationships and the networking. Also importantly, the connections with podcast guests, podcast hosts, not guests, but hosts, are important because this eventually builds the credibility. You don't even need to be on too many podcasts. Just, I don't know, 3 would be enough, 2, 3, just to have on as a LinkedIn profile, on the website, some screenshots like, hey, here I am, featured post, I was interviewed by this and this podcast. And that immediately boosts the credibility. So that's something we usually quickly facilitate. And yeah, I'm also on YouTube, I'm quite active myself. I have over 30,000 subscribers. So we also do this for me. And this is from LinkedIn, 6,000 subscribers in some newsletter on LinkedIn. So we were also organizing a lot of the activities for me myself. So, when we look at how to take advantage of the hidden job market, it's usually in 2 ways. First, it's repositioning so that you would be extremely valuable to a smaller group of companies. Ideally, imagine a CEO or some executive board member who would be looking for a CTO, and they're like, okay, we are looking for someone, like this would be the ideal candidate, someone who has this and this and this. And then they spot your profile and your CV, and they're like, oh my God, like this is person who we are willing to pay premium for. So this requires lots of thoughts, but once we have clarity on this, we can easily execute and create the content, rebrand the profile, and arrange networking. And the second step is to keep introducing consistently, which we can do for you because we know it's super cumbersome. It's fun just for the first 2 hours, and then it's not really fun. So even for me, I have a colleague who is arranging introductions because yeah, it just works better this way. So that's pretty much what we do. If you would like to get more visibility on the job market and eventually target either a job of a director of engineering or a CTO, then we can definitely help you get more visible, introduce yourself to headhunters and executive search companies, and also introduce to C-level executives in other top tech companies, because we are also connected with other CTOs, with other CEOs, board members, so we can facilitate those introductions. Yeah. So usually, I mean, we kind of execute it in those steps. We have certain roadmaps that we usually create. Usually we follow certain framework, but of course we can divert if needed. At the beginning, there is some situation analysis, then we identify clear personal USPs. This can take a few weeks, 2-3 weeks, because often people need to sleep on it. And then we help to reposition on the job market, showcase the expertise on the biggest professional network, LinkedIn, eventually take advantage of some of the premium features, and immediately someone who visits the profile is impressed, like, oh wow, this is a great person, I definitely want to interview him or her. Step number 5 would be to brainstorm topics that would highlight your expertise. I mean, now with ChatGPT, it's easier than ever, but at the end, it's not just about the brainstorming, it's about the execution. So anyone can brainstorm the topics easily, but how do you take those topics to eventually being interviewed by some podcast hosts? That's the hard part, and we can definitely facilitate it with the content production. And the last step is to arrange those introductions with either other CTOs or with executive headhunters, search agencies. So that's what we kind of organize on an ongoing basis. Yeah, so we have this optimistic claim at the end. The best is yet to come. So no matter where you are with your career, the best is yet to come. So if there is anything we could help with, then just let us know, and we can kind of explore the different options.